All right, well, today is January the 12th, 2018, and right now at 9 a.m., we have a temperature of 58 degrees in the foothills of Los Angeles. We have a relative humidity of 61%, and the dew point is 44 degrees, actually 45, and the barometer is up at 30.12, and that is on the rise. We had a little over, just a hair over 3 inches of rain on the 8th and 9th. And of course, Montecito and Santa Barbara had anywhere from 4 to 5.5 inches of rain. And that area is a disaster area. Just hard to describe the damage up there from the ferocity of the rain coming off those mountains that were skinned by the fire. All right, and the timing of all of this is very suspect. If you go and look at the, this is the Doppler map here from back on the 8th, before the big rain hit. This is on the 8th. We had about a 3/4 of an inch at that time. You see that there's a transmitter here near Ojai NEXRAD ground transmitter. You can see that it's transmitting and breaking up some of the rain just adjacent here to Santa Barbara. This transmitter can also broadcast out to the south, but we don't see that happening. We do see some breakup here, and that would have been helpful in the middle of the night, this transmitter right here, to help break up the very heavy cells, as we see this yellow up here. This is the stuff that caused the flooding. This deep yellow color was parked over the Santa Barbara area on the early morning of the 9th. And that brought anywhere from 4 to 5.5 inches of rain and wiped out hundreds, they say 100 homes, but looking at the video footage, if you guys out there want to take a look at a YouTube channel called Tony's -24/7 eyes, EYES, look that up on YouTube. There's quite a bit of raw video that this guy gets from the networks. And anyhow, take a look at that. It's nowhere near the scope of the flooding in Houston and areas down near the hurricanes, in the south and along the Gulf Coast and all that. But just the size of these boulders and rocks that were moved by the water down from the mountains up at the foot of the mountains there at the north end of Montecito. It's really impressive. It's staggering looking at the size of the boulders and the damage. Anyhow, it's no coincidence that these yellow patches of rain were parked over the burn areas. We see that there's a transmitter right here near Ojai, as I mentioned. This could have done some good work to prevent some of the disastrous rainfall totals that came down in that area. If you look at one of the other maps here, we can see this again is from the 9th. The burn areas over here, just northwest of Pasadena, are all yellow as well, and so there was quite a bit of flooding in the La Tuna Canyon area. And so this is no coincidence. We've seen how hurricanes are steered at the last minute. Harvey was blocked and forced to the north right into Houston. None of this is a coincidence in my view. I've seen enough of this now where, and of course, you look at the websites like Artemis, ARTEMIS.BM, and look what's going on. Again, here we have rainfall totals tailored right here out of Oroville. The dam is right here. We've got rivers right in this area. We have about a 120-degree angle that has been tailored by this transmitter right near the airport and the golf course, which tailored a very light rain in this area while the dam repairs are going on. I mentioned that in a previous video, but we can see what happens here. It's very flat in this area, by the way. If you go on Google Earth, you'll see that Oroville, if you look at a 360-degree view on Google Earth, it's very flat in this area. And so, except over here in these mountains, But we see how the transmitters are working in conjunction with the construction effort at the Oroville Dam. So here's an example of some good work that can be done by those transmitters. But yet we look at the other map here, we see that again the burn areas have a lot of yellow, unusual concentrations of yellow right over here in the Pasadena area, New Hall, Santa Clarita, Burbank. A lot of flooding in Burbank on the south side of those Verdugo Mountains, and we see that this is not a coincidence. And so here's this transmitter by Edwards Air Force Base just east, chopping up all the rain out here in the desert to presumably prevent flash flooding. But yet over here, this Ojai transmitter, obviously the power was not sufficient. They turned the power down, and we see sort of a half-assed effort here to chop up the rain there. And so the people in Montecito and Santa Barbara really got hit hard. And looking at the video, it's going to take months to clean up those boulders and get the streets cleaned up. The 101 is going to be closed probably for maybe 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. It's a mess. I mean, it's unbelievable, the damage. You just have to see it from the air. And anyway, let's take a look at the maps here. Today, here is the Northeast Pacific water vapor loop. We can see the jet stream diving down into a blockade right here, which is separating some tropical moisture, which is moving right towards and into Southern California. And of course, we've got heavy chemtrail spraying today. Waking up this morning, going outside, we see the skies are blanketed with the chemtrail haze, and we can see right here on the infrared map for Southern California, we've got moisture streaming in, and that should be delivering rain, and but it's not, because the skies are capped with the aerosol desiccant chemical haze, the chemtrail haze, which contains aluminum nanoparticulate, which is a desiccant. The humidity drops. Right now we're at 61% humidity. Yesterday we were at 74% in the morning hours. The morning after the rain on the 10th, we had 74% relative humidity. That is the following morning after all this rain. So we had all the rain on the 8th and the 9th, was the big rain on the 9th, and then the 10th, the morning of the 10th, we had 74% relative humidity and chemtrails, a heavy chemtrail spraying over the foothills and all over the Los Angeles area. Okay, so that prevented any follow-up rain. Not that we needed follow-up rain. As I say, the flooded areas, the burn areas got hammered. And so, and by the way, we had, like I said, just a little over 3 inches. But the last time we had a saturating rain with 3 inches or more was actually this last year, this last rainy season. We had on January the 9th and through the 12th, we had a total of 3.15 inches. And then prior to that, it was back on, let's see, that would be February the 28th and March 1st. We had 5.25 inches. And that year was the driest, one of the driest on record. We only had 7.59 inches in the season of 2013 through 14. And all that rain, most of it, came on February 28th and March 1st. We had 5.25. And I remember that rain. The drops were about as big as a dime, maybe even a little bit bigger, and it just poured. We had a lot of flooding all over the place. Okay, so we can see the pattern here today. We have moisture flow right into Southern California, and the chemtrail jets are up spraying. And there's been some comments on the last couple of videos about the conductive properties of the chemtrail ingredients. Aluminum is a conductor. but at microwave frequencies, you know, aluminum will short out microwave energy. And so if you've ever put a piece of foil or something metallic in your microwave oven and turn it on, you'll see what happens. The microwave energy shorts to the, it conducts through the metallic material, and you'll see sparks. And so I'm not sure what the point is being made by the person. I think his name was Scott, who was trying to make a point that there are other uses for the chemtrail haze. I don't believe that, because the research doesn't show that. What the research does show is that when the moisture field approaches land where we are, we see, and there is a no rain forecast, we see the jets upspring, and that prevents the rain by capping the atmosphere. And what happens? We see several things happen. We see the relative humidity drop substantially. All you have to do is buy a $150 weather instrument that measures dew point, relative humidity and temperature, and barometric pressure. Get a good barometer, a couple of them, and watch what happens. That's all you have to do. That's what I did. That's what we're doing. And so this is not rocket science. What we have is a bunch of shills on TV that are presenting cartoon animated weather fit for 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 5-year-olds, more. And so we're not getting the truth. There's a reason for that. Look at this right angle up here. You know, if people started seeing this on the nightly news, how long do you think it would take before the weather derivatives markets would collapse? And people would say, wait a minute here, this is a fraud. This is not right. And so the entire global warming narrative is based on fraudulent information. CO2 is not causing this straight edge here. That look at the length of this straight edge right here. Probably 700 miles long. You see that this whole North Pacific flow has been split by this installed area of high pressure. So this is being forced into California. And there's a no rain forecast. We don't know when the next rain's going to come. They were talking about next Friday. How can these people look at these maps and say, well, which one of these storms is going to move down next Friday, which is, I don't know the date next Friday. Today's the 12th. That'd be the 19th. It's impossible for me to look at these maps and say, well, next Friday, maybe this little low pressure here, or maybe this one here, or maybe this one. By the way, look at this. This is we've got a straight edge right here, jet stream, and it's forced into a wall, this high pressure, and we see that it's turning, and then we have an instant low pressure generation right here. We have a new weather system which is being generated. So this is another method that storms can be created, low pressure systems. We can get counterclockwise rotation right here by seeing this pattern. This is a straight edge. We've got high pressure right in here. If we look at the got high pressure all in this area, that's what's causing this right angle. Then we have an abrupt left turn, and that begins the counterclockwise rotation. All right, so chemtrails, in my view, in our research, it's very clear what's going on. They're not used as atmospheric windows for HAARP transmitters. I don't believe any of that. There's no evidence to support that. However, HAARP has very specific uses, and those are all on the internet. But as far as the chemtrails go, those are used to prevent rain, to minimize rain in areas, and that's about it. I don't see any other use for them, because the weather data, the weather instruments don't lie. They tell us what's going on. Using chemtrails, you can raise barometric pressure and all that sort of thing. Okay, so we're running out of time. We'll leave it right here, and we'll do another one later on. That's it.